Hello viewers, welcome to this biology paper 2D presentation. Specifically, I'm going to review questions under genetics, the format or the ways in which they can ask you questions from genetics. So the first one is coming from sex-linked characteristic, and the question is saying, explain what is meant by the term sex-linked characteristic. So in talk of sex-linked characteristic, this one is the occurrence of a non-sex gene on the sex chromosomes or the X chromosome. Now, to make you understand, let's just do this. When you talk of sex chromosomes, we have two types of sex chromosomes. We have the X chromosome and also the Y chromosome. So in this case here, the X chromosome always comes from the ovum or the egg. Then the Y chromosome always comes from the sperm. Now, whenever you see the chromosomes like XX, these they are going to represent a female. Then whenever you see chromosomes like XY, these they are going to represent a male or a man. Now, you need also to note the difference between the X chromosome and the Y chromosome. So the X chromosome is longer than the Y chromosome, meaning the Y chromosome is shorter than the X chromosome. Now, let's come back to what this question was saying. Sex-linked characteristic. When you say it is the occurrence of a non-sex gene on the sex chromosome, what does it mean? Now, the rule here is that sex-linked characteristic only occurs on the X chromosome, meaning it does not occur on the Y chromosome. Okay? So suppose we have a child who is affected by red-green color blindness, and then we have been told to come up with a genetic diagram. Ensure that on the Y chromosome do not include a non-sex gene. Just include non-sex genes on the X chromosomes. Like if we say ARA. On the Y chromosome here, you're not supposed to put anything because sex-linked characteristic does not occur on the Y chromosome. Then as for question B, it is saying the allele for hemophilia, which is monitor H, is a recessive allele. So you need also to understand the term recessive allele. So in talk of a recessive allele, it is the allele which is going to be overshadowed by the dominant allele on the phenotype. So let me just repeat the question. The allele for hemophilia, which is monitor H, is a recessive allele carried on a non-homologous pair of the sex chromosome. So Roman number 1 is saying a couple is both normal to this trait. They have 3 sons, 2 of whom are hemophilic. Now, these are normal. How can they have 2 children with hemophilic? Now, this question is asking us to come up with a genetic diagram to explain how this may occur. Now, we have what we call a carrier. This carrier here only exists in females, not in males. So a male can't be a carrier unless otherwise. But when you talk of sex-linked characteristic, a male can't be a carrier, but a female can be a carrier. The word carrier, it doesn't mean that a female is affected by a sex-linked characteristic, but this means that she is a normal, but she is just a carrier of that disease. Okay. Now, how do a carrier looks like when it comes to females? So meaning as for a carrier, you are going to have something like X. Now we have been told that we need to use H. And H, which is monitor H, is representing a recessive allele. Capital letter H is going to represent a dominant one. So whenever you have something like this here. This one here is going to represent a carrier because here you have a recessive allele and also a dominant allele. Now, since the dominant allele is more powerful than the recessive allele, meaning this one is not going to be shown on the phenotype. Now, since this question was saying both couples, they are normal. So what we are going to do here, we are going to make the female being a carrier and a male is just going to be normal. So here we are going to say parental. When you talk of parental phenotype, this one is just the outward appearance of a living organism. So just phenotype itself is the outward appearance of a living organism. So here we are going to have a male being close with a female. What follows next is the genotype. You're supposed to use the chromosomes now. The sex chromosomes, you are going to use them only when you're determining the sex of the fetus or when you're dealing with sex-linked characteristic. Sometimes in an exam they can ask you to use the symbols. So now when you talk of sex-linked characteristic, you need to use the chromosomes. So as for the male, it is XY. Now since the couple, all of them, they are normal, meaning here I'm going to use capital letter H, which is the dominant one. Then for the female, we are going to have XX. Now here we need to have a dominant one, and here the recessive one. So meaning this one is going to be a carrier, but a carrier is also a normal one. So what follows next here, we need to split the gametes. Remember that here, sex-linked characteristic does not occur on the Y chromosome. So what follows next is the random assortment. So this one is going to be crossed with this one. Then here we are going to have XX, where we are going to have the dominant allele, even here the dominant allele. Then what follows next, we are going to have this one here, where we are going to have XX. Now here we need to have a dominant and a recessive one, followed by this one. So when you reach at this stage here, we say this one is going to be F1 genotype. So here now we need to specify what we have here. What we have at this point here, this one is a female. Now it's going to be normal. So we have a female who is a normal one. Then followed by this one here. This one is a female because we have XX. But this one is going to be a carrier one. And I was saying, if a female is a carrier, it doesn't mean that it's affected by hemophilic, but she's just a carrier, or she's just normal like that. Then here we have XY, meaning here we have a male. Now since we have a dominant allele here, meaning this one is going to be normal. Then the last one, we have this one here, who is a male, but he has a recessive allele on top here, meaning this one is going to be hemophilic. So that is how you're supposed to answer on this part here. So let's try to look at the next question. So the next question is asking us the probability of their next son being hemophilic. So now, if the same parents are closed, you're going to find that just going to be 1, which is this one here. We are going to have one son who is going to be hemophilic, not only. So what we are going to do here, we are going to say one son who is hemophilic, but how many offsprings we have? We have 4, multiplied by 100%. Then when we do the computation here, we are going to get the answer, which is going to be 25%. Meaning here the answer is just going to be 25%. So I'm getting this one from this one, we have one son who is hemophilic, and the total number of offspring that we have here, they are 4, or they are about 4. So we need to say 1 divided by 4 multiplied by 100%. Then when you do the computation, you're going to get the same answer, which is 25%. So that is how you are supposed to answer this question when it comes in this way. Let's see the next question. So the next question is also coming from the same sex-linked characteristic, but it is in the form of a pedigree diagram. And it is saying figure 5.0 shows inheritance of red-green color blindness in generations of 2 families, Y and Z. So we have the Y family and the Z family. Okay. So now, whenever you want to answer this question, you need to look at the key that you have been given. Okay. So the key that we have here, it is showing that when we use this square here, which is painted, this one is going to represent a red-green color blindness or red-green color blind male. Okay. Then whenever we use a square which is unshaded, this one is going to show the vision or the normal vision of a male. Then followed by the circle which is shaded, this one is going to show the red-green color blind female, as for this one. Then the last one, the circle which is unshaded, it is going to show the normal vision of a female. So this is what we need to use for us to answer this question. Now remember, I'm from saying that a female can be a carrier. Okay? A female can be a carrier. Now, if a female is a carrier, it doesn't mean that that female is affected by hemophilia or red-green color blindness or any example of sex-linked characteristic. Now we have the first question, which is saying, which letter in figure 5.0 corresponds to a second filler generation offspring? So to answer this one here, we have 2 families here. We have family Y and family Z. So these families, they are going to produce the son and the daughters here, and also the son and the daughters. This one we are going to call it as F1, which is going to be the first filler, 1. Then, when K and J are mated, they are going to produce these offsprings, and these offsprings, they are going to fall under the F2, which is filler 2 generation. So here we can just say it is L and M. And the next question. The next one is saying, using symbols, X to the power capital letter R. So this one is going to represent a dominant allele. And X to the power small letter R. This one is going to represent a recessive allele. Whenever you use a small letter represents a recessive allele. And alleles, they go in pairs. Determine the alleles for red-green color blindness and for normal sight from the pedigree diagram in figure 5.0. We need to use these symbols here, okay, to show how we can have a normal sight and how we can have red-green color blindness. Red-green color blindness is caused by a recessive allele. So here they haven't told us to use Y because sex-linked characteristic does not occur on the Y chromosome. So I'm going to say X, another X. Now what are we going to put here on top? We're going to put small letters for R. This one is going to represent a person who is affected by red-green color blindness. But whenever you use something like X, then you say capital letter R and small letter R. This one is going to represent a carrier. And I'm from saying, I'm even emphasizing on this part is here that A carrier is a normal person. Okay? So this one here is not going to work. For the normal site, we can write 2, whereby we say x, then we use the capital letters, which is for R. Or we can say x, we use capital letter R and small letter r. This one is just going to be normal, like that. And this one is going to be normal, but a carrier. So that is how you're supposed to write this one here. Okay. Then as for question C, it is saying, predict the genotypes of offspring J and K. So let's see. Remember, as for the genotypes, we use the alleles. In this case here, we are going to use now the chromosomes, which is X and Y. If J is a male, we need to use X and Y. If K is a female, we need to use XX. So you have J and K. Let's see the key. This key was saying, if we use a circle which is unshaded, this one is going to represent a female. So meaning J is a female. So we need to use XX. But just wait and see what we are going to put here on top. Then as for the shaded square, this one is going to represent a male who is a hemophilic. So K is a male. So we need to have XY. Okay? Now remember I was saying, sex-linked characteristic does not occur on the Y chromosome. And this one is shaded. Okay? So meaning here we're just going to put a recessive allele, which is small letter r. Immediately put capital letter R. That one is going to represent a normal male. So this one is going to be the red-green color, blind male. Then when it comes to the female, here you need to be very, very careful. Look at the offsprings that they have here, for you to come up with the alleles that you are going to use on top here. As you can see here, we have one female who is affected and also one male who is affected. In most of the times, you are going to find that males are highly affected by sex-linked characteristic, because sex-linked characteristic does not occur on the Y chromosome. Even in an exam, they can also ask you this one here, whereby they ask you, why does male are highly affected by sex-linked characteristic? You need to give them the same reason. So what we are going to do here, we are going to say, we need to have this female who is going to be a carrier. If we say this female is a carrier, when you close these two here, you're going to find that you're going to have one female who is going to be affected by red-green color blindness, and one male who is going to be affected by red-green color blindness. So you can just try on this part here. Just get a piece of paper and cross them and see what you're going to have. Okay. So as for J, we are saying it is XX, capital letter R, and small letter r. Then as for K, this one is a male. So we need to have X, small letter r, then Y. Do not put a non-sexy gene on the Y chromosome. Let's see the next question. This one is saying, using the genotypes of offspring J and K in C above, show using a genetic diagram the inheritance of red-green color blindness of offspring L and M. Okay, so the first thing, start with the phenotype, which is the outward appearance. So here on this part, we are going to say offspring J. So on part of the genotype, we are going to use the chromosomes. So as for J, is J a male or a female? So as for J, according to what we have here, J is a female. And we need to use exactly what we have here. Then as for K, we need to have X, beta R, then Y. So what follows next, we need to split the gametes. So after splitting the gametes, we need to go on random assortment or random factorization. So this one is going to be crossed with this one. Then we are going to have this one. So this one is going to be a carrier. And I'm from saying a carrier is a normal one. And then this one with this one. So here we need to have a male who is going to be normal. Okay, then this one with this one. So here we are going to have a female who is going to be affected by red-green color blindness. Then the last one, we need to have this one who is going to be a male, now being affected by red-green color blindness. We are going to say F2 genotype, not F1 genotype, because the F1 genotype were, I think, were J and K. Yes. So these L and M, they are F2 genotype. So this one is going to be a carrier, which is going to be a female. Then this one is going to be normal, which is going to be a male one. Then this one is going to be red-green color blindness. Then this one is going to have red-green color blindness also. Now, since they are saying, need to identify them as L and M. So let's see. L, is L the male or the female? According to what we have here on the key, L is going to be the female. Then M is going to be a male. So here we can see this one is going to be L and this one is going to be what? M. So that is how you're supposed to answer this question. Let's see the next question. The next one is saying define each of the following terms. We have the first one, which is the gene. So gene is defined as the unit of inheritance, meaning genes are used to denote the inheritance. Then when it comes to the genotype, this one is the genetic composition of a living organism or the internal appearance of a living organism. So there is a difference between genotype and phenotype in that genotype represents the genetic appearance of a living organism. Then phenotype represents the outward appearance of a living organism. Now question B is saying, in a family of rats, the recessive allele, symmeter D, causes standard growth if it occurs in a homozygous animal. Yes, meaning here we are going to have capital letter D and symmeter D, where D is going to represent a dominant one and symmeter D is going to represent the recessive one according to what we have been given in this question here. The recessive allele is symmeter D, meaning the capital letter D is going to represent a dominant allele, or in short, always capital letters, they are used to represent dominant alleles. So now if they are saying heterozygous, meaning we are going to have this one here, another one, capital letter D and symmeter D. So we are going to cross these two and see what we are going to have. So in this part here, they have given us the letter that we are going to use. Do not use now the chromosome that we are from using, like the X chromosome and the Y chromosome. So the first thing, likewise, you start with the phenotype. The phenotype here, we are going to have a male rat close with a female rat. What follows next is the genotype, which is the internal or genetic appearance of a living organism. So here we need to have capital letter D and small letter D. These, they are representing heterozygous. But if you use small letter D and small letter D, these are going to represent homozygous recessive. But the question was saying, if two heterozygous rats were mated, what offsprings are going to be produced? So meaning even here we need to have capital D and small D. Then what follows next, we need to split the gametes. So here we have D, even here, even here, even here. So this one is going to be crossed with this one, and then we are going to have capital letters for D. Then here we are going to have capital letter and small letter. Here we need to have capital letter and small letter. Then even here we are going to have small letters. Now if small letters for D exist as homozygous in animals, they are going to cause standard growth. Meaning here we are going to have normal one, normal one, normal one. Then here we are going to have standard growth because we have same letters which are small letters, according to what the question was saying. So this is going to be the F1 genotype. At the end here, you need to say this one is going to be normal. Even this one is going to be normal. Even this one is going to be normal. But this one is going to be standard growth. So that is how I'm supposed to answer this one. Now, if the question was saying predict the chances, let's see what the question was saying. The question was saying we need to predict the offspring produced if two heterozygous bloods were mated. Find the probability. Whereby you say how many offsprings do we have here who has been affected by standard growth? We only have one. Divided by the total number of offsprings. So meaning there are 4 here. Then you multiply by 100%. Then you are going to have 25%. But it is not always that when you're doing the computation, you're going to get 25%. Sometimes you can get 50%. So for this question, you need to pay attention. Pay much attention. It is saying figure 5. It is saying figure 5 shows blood group phenotypes for a mother and her 2 children. So here we have the father who is having blood group which is unknown. The mother who is having blood group A. Then the offsprings. Here we have a son who is blood group O. The daughter who is having blood group B. When you talk of blood group alleles, we only have 3 types of blood group alleles. I'm saying we have 3 types of blood groups allele. The first one, it is A. The second one is B. Then the last one is going to be O. These are the just blood group alleles that we have. When I say blood group alleles, I'm not talking about the types of blood groups that we have. Okay? So now, when it comes to the alleles of blood groups, we usually use capital letter I to denote them. Then on top you put the type of the blood group that you're dealing with. Yeah, that's very, very important. To this, let's talk about blood group O. Blood group O is the universal donor. Blood group O is the universal donor. And this one only exists as homozygous recessive. It only exists as homozygous recessive. So meaning, as for blood group O, you are going to have something like this one here. You can't have a child who is having blood group O, whereby you have something like this one. Meaning, this one here is not going to be blood group O. Blood group O only exists in this form here. Only in this form here. So now, since here they are saying, the son here is blood group O, meaning here we are having something like this one. Okay? Then the daughter here is blood group B. But the mother here is blood group what? A. So as for blood group A, it can exist both heterozygous dominant and homozygous dominant. So when I say homozygous dominant, meaning you're going to have something like this one here, where you're going to have the capital letters for A, all of them. Then when it comes to heterozygous dominant, you're going to have this one here, but you can also have blood group O. This one here denotes heterozygous dominant, and this one here homozygous dominant. Now, as you can see here, from this one that we have here, do we have a B here? We don't have a B. Even if we choose this one here, then put it here, are we going to have a daughter with blood group B? No. Even if we choose this one here and then put it here, are we going to have a daughter who is going to be blood group B? No. Now, where is blood group B coming from? Meaning blood group B is coming from the father. So that is how we resolve this question here. So blood group B is coming from where? From the father. Father is blood group B. Now, similarly, as for blood group B, it exists both homozygous dominant and heterozygous dominant. Now, if we say the father is homozygous dominant, then put it here. Then even we say the mother is heterozygous dominant, meaning we are not going to have a son whose blood group what? O. Where is the O going to come from? So what we are going to do here, we are going to choose blood group B heterozygous, so that we have a O here, which is going to come from the father. Okay? Now, where is this O coming from? It is also coming from the mother, meaning the mother is heterozygous dominant and the father is heterozygous dominant. Here we are going to have something like this one, where we are going to say heterozygous dominant, even here heterozygous what? Dominant. So that this O is coming from the mother and this O here is coming from the father. This B is coming from the father. Okay? Then the other offsprings are going to have blood group A and blood group B. Likewise. So the first one is saying, from figure 5, deduce the genotypes for the father and mother. So as for the father, we are going to have this one here, which is heterozygous dominant. Then as for the mother, we need to have this one here, where we are going to say heterozygous dominant. Likewise. Then as for question B, the daughter got married, so the daughter is having blood group B. Okay? Now what kind of blood group B? Is it homozygous dominant or heterozygous dominant? That is what we need to resolve. So the daughter got married and had a child with blood group AB. With blood group AB. What was the blood group phenotype of the husband? So the daughter here is having blood group what? B. Blood B is coming from the mother. Then A is going to come from what? From the father. So in talk of phenotype, here we just use the words, meaning this A is coming from the father. So we are going to say blood group what? A. Then as for question C, it is saying the father divorced the wife and married another woman with blood group B. And their first child had blood group O. With the help of a genetic diagram, explain how this was possible. So the woman is blood group B. And here they are having a child who is having blood group O. Remember, blood group O only exists as homozygous recessive. Now let's see the father, the blood group of the father. The blood group of the father is blood group B. Now heterozygous dominant one. Mother is having blood group B. So we are going to say phenotype. Father close with the mother. Then what follows next is the genotype. To use for the father, which is blood group B, now heterozygous dominant one. Then the mother is blood group B. Now which one are we going to use so that we have a son or a daughter or a child who is going to have blood group O? Meaning here, even the mother is going to be blood group B heterozygous dominant. Because if we use the capital letters, which BB, if you put BB here, we're not going to have a child who is going to be blood group O. Let's prove that one. So let's say we split the gametes here. So this one is going to be crossed with this one, and then here we are going to have BB, which is blood group B homozygous dominant. Then here we are going to have blood group B, now heterozygous dominant. In this one, we are going to have blood group B, now heterozygous dominant. Then the last one here, we are going to have blood group O, which is going to be homozygous recessive. So here we need to put the gametes. Then here, F2 genotype. This one is going to be blood group. This one is going to be blood group B. This one blood group B. This one blood group B. Then this one is going to be blood group. And this one is going to be blood group O. So that is what you're supposed to answer. But on this part here, don't write like the way I've written here. Write in full, whereby you say blood group B, blood group B, blood group B, and blood group O. This one is called the F2 phenotype, which is the outward appearance of a living organism. So that's all. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.